Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov, Chazak Baruch. So we're continuing in Siman Resh Nun Gimel, now moving on to Seif Bet. So we spoke in Seif Aleph about Shehiyah, which is putting food on the hot plate, on a hot source from before Shabbat. That's carrying into Shabbat. And now we're going to be talking about the rules of Chazara. Chazara means to go back, meaning I took the food off of my hot source, and now I want to put it back on. So we're probably familiar with that. Let's say Shabbat morning, you have a seudah, and now you want to take your cold schnitzel or chicken fingers from the fridge, and you want to put it onto the hot plate on Shabbat morning. So that is chazara. I'm machzir. I'm returning food back onto a heat source. So there, we know it's. We're going to talk about dvarim yeveshim, things that are dry. We'll talk about that next time. But that's much more lenient. It's already fully cooked. It's dry, and the poskim say that when something's already dry and fully cooked, then there's nothing more to cook. So therefore, it's much more easier to return onto a heat source. But what if it's not fully cooked yet? What if it is still wet and something that's lach? We're posek yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, that there is recooking something that's wet. And the famous example, let's say you have water that you already boiled, and now it cools down, and then you want to reboil it. You could say, oh, it was already cooked. Well, no, it's still water. It could be recooked again. So therefore, sometimes a soup or it could also be considered. We consider it that it's recooked. So now, what if you have in this, let's say dafina, we have wetness. So you have liquid. So you're allowed to lachzir, provided it's a certain case. I mean, you can't take it from the fridge where it's totally cold, but that's the Shulchan Aruch here that talks about being machzir from the fire, and now I want to, let's say, serve, and then I want to put it back on. So the Shulchan Aruch says that basically you need a few conditions in order to return it back. So we'll just read it quickly. Kirashi grufo ktuma. It has to be, as we spoke about, garufa katum. That's your oven or your hot plate is already again covered. It's already there's no coals there. It's already covered. V'natala kedera me'ala. Now you take your pot off of it. Afilu b'Shabbat, and it's even on Shabbat. Not just talking about erev Shabbat. Mutar le'achzira. You're allowed to put it back onto the fire. Kol zman shehi rotachat. That's condition number one. Kol zman, that it's still burning hot. Now, what does it mean burning hot? Mefarshim say as long as it's yad soliditbo. Yad soliditbo is, we said it's about 45 degrees, where it's enough that if I would put my hand on it, I'd take my hand back off of it. It doesn't have to be at totally boiling like I would cook it, but at least at yad soliditbo, then I could return it back. Ashkenazim actually on this are more lenient, and they say as long as it's warm, as long as it's not cold, I mean I can put my hand on it, but it's less than 45 degrees. As long as it's not cold, if it's warm, then I could still put it back on. So that's condition number one of the Shulchan Aruch. The second condition, velohi nichal gabe karka, that you didn't put it down on the ground, meaning that I didn't forget about it and now say, oh, now I want to put it back onto the fire. No. I'm still holding it, or we're going to see the Ashkenazi difference in a moment, but as long as I didn't put it on the ground. And the third is v'davka al gabav al asur, meaning when you put it back onto your heat source, it has to be on top of the heat source and not in the heat source, and not in the oven, because that's how it looks. We said yesterday that it looks like I'm cooking if I'm putting something in the oven. So if I put something on top, right, then, and again on something that's covered, etc., then that's okay. The Rama adds two things. Number one is ve'oda beyado. It has to remain in your hands the whole time. So again, let's say even Friday night. It's late Friday night. It's 12 o'clock at night. I want to try some of the dafina. You say, honey, bring me some of the dafina. So okay, you're too lazy to go up and get it yourself. So she comes and she takes it out of the pot. Now brings it to you. Now she has to have a few things. Number one is it's still hot. Okay, very good. It's not going to be on the ground. Now we'll see, what about on the table or does that count? We'll talk about that. According to Ashkenazim, it's got to remain in her hands the whole time. And another thing, according to Ashkenazim, is that v'da'ato lehachzira, that her intention is to bring it back. And not like, I took it out, oh, you know what, yeah, it's a good idea, let's put it back. No, it has to be the original intention to put it back. That's the other two additional conditions from the Ashkenazim, and then you could serve yourself and put it back on to the heat source. So that is the introduction to these, and the Mishnah Berurah says that you could do this many times on Shabbat, as long as you're fulfilling all the conditions. This is the introduction to these laws, and with time, B'ezrat Hashem, next week, we'll get into it, but this is the basic framework, these 5 conditions, 3, and then the additional 2 from the Ramah, and we'll get into each of the specifics of these conditions as we move along with B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, that's that for today. Minchat tonight at 6:45, and the next week we're going to put it back down to 6:30, but that will be for next week. This week, 6:45, B'ezrat Hashem. Have a good day, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Tana de B'Eliyahu.